Welcome to From the Ashes, the Dungeon Crawler Network podcast all about Ashes of Creation by Intrepid Studios. Bear witness to the rebirth of the MMORPG genre from the ashes of an industry that has left the gamers behind. I'm Aggelos. We are back in the Mighty Beard Tavern, and I am joined by my amazing co-host. We got Alpha Soul.
Good to be here.
Glad to have you back, of course. And Crojack.
Aggelos, remind me again, what quarter are we in right now?
Q1.
Are we almost in Q2, eh?
I think we're almost in Q2.
Q2's
no, we're
right
start of
around...
Q2, yes.
No, we're in Q2.
We're in Q2 right now. So one could say that if things had gone according to plan, we may have had Alpha 1 in our hands right around now, possibly.
That is correct.
This is true. This is very, very true. And now you brought the whole show down. Way to go. Wow. And we don't even have Storms Lords here to actually, bring us back up to where we need to be.
Don't worry, I'll put the white armor back on. We'll be good to go. Let's go.
No, it's cool. We got a fun show planned for you guys. We actually had that huge amount of content creator interviews that Steven jumped into, and the crew here, we went through some of those other ones and picked out some of the more interesting questions in our eyes that we kind of want to go over and see what we can expand upon and do a little bit of theory crafting. So I think it'll definitely be a fun show. But before we do all of that, I got to give a shout out to all of our awesome Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/Dungeon Crawler Network, as well as our Twitch subs. Here we got actually handful. Thank you so much, chat room. Horrendous and Woodchip are both in at the 7-month line today. Way to go. Thank you so much for supporting us, for joining the DCN Shield Wall. It is greatly appreciated. And remember, all of those who help support the network via our Patreon or Twitch gain access to our DCN supporters channel in our Discord, where you get access to all of our shows at least 24 hours early. So that way you can go around and say, I'm better than everyone else because I already heard them talk about it. And then Monday morning comes around and go, wow, now I have nothing to listen to while I'm at work. It's really a double-edged sword, so listen at your own risk.
The show is so good, you listen twice.
There you go. I love it. That's the way I like to hear it. Anyway, you guys are great. We haven't heard any new iTunes reviews since, that obviously fake one last week. Alpha Soul. Yeah. And I see chat room. The most pressing question is, where did the beard go? I
did ask that when I first saw your face. I was like, something's different about you.
It's, no. It's a sad day, but every once in a while I just need to restart my beard, so I shave it all off, go through my beard treatment. Plus, my wife was coming back after being away for like a week and a half, and I thought I would surprise her by shaving because she loves the no beard face. I don't know why. It's weird, and I don't like it, but...
My wife is the exact opposite. She doesn't want to see babyface Crojack ever again, so she won't let me shave my beard. Also, you need to change your t-shirt, good sir. It says something about you being awesome, and you're looking at it. No, your beard's gone. All your awesome's gone. You need a new t-shirt.
I'm just gonna...
No, not right now. No. Don't ruin it for the YouTube audience, okay? Don't ruin it.
I was just gonna hide my face, okay?
Oh,
That's
okay.
all.
I thought you were just taking off his shirt.
No, no one wants to see that. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right on into our discussion. First up, we have a few questions. This is one that I thought was kind of neat. So when I was digging through these interviews, I picked a few of the questions that I thought was interesting. And this is actually from Jalon. I always mispronounce his name.
Jalon?
Yeah, Jahhlon. Anyway, awesome guy. He does the Ashes 101 series. Definitely check him out. Awesome guy. Really detailed. But the thing that I thought was so interesting about the corruption system, because they ask about the corruption system and why a non-combatant can attack a corrupted and not get flagged. Okay? And I found this interesting because Steven goes, corrupted players are basically PvE mobs. You aren't killing players from your own faction. You're killing a being that is corrupted. Theoretically, you have one. You'd have one red player in a large group, but this would have no penalty as only one player would be able to take the blame. So what we're doing with our corruption system is not taking away player choice. So if you want to defend yourself, you keep gaining corruption until you lose your soul. Is this just an RP thing, or do we actually like lose control of our characters, or they generate like an NPC mob?
What do you mean? Say that again.
Well,
at least that last.
Corrupted players are basically PvE mobs. I get that from a mechanic standpoint. They don't want you to think about it that way, but is that just their way of actually separating out players and like the headcanon of what a corrupted player actually is? Or do you think they are putting in a system where when you get corrupted, you essentially create an NPC mob to kill?
I think it's more from the like the canon, the explanation point of view, that they're giving that out, and it kind of makes sense from that respect. I mean, I had never thought of it that way when it came up, and I saw that answer, and I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. But I think the bottom baseline that they wanted to kind of achieve was preventing people from essentially going red and using that as like a backdoor in order to kill people, if that makes sense.
Do you think that I know what they're saying? Theoretically, you'd have one red player in a large group, but this would have no penalty as only one player would take the blame. Once a player becomes completely corrupted, however, I'm curious if, well, I guess everyone, even if you're in your own group, you'd be able to attack that player if it's just a PvE mob.
Yeah. I mean, you would, right? So I'm trying to think of the best way to actually kind of go through this. So, okay, so let's say they're red, right? Let's say you have a red player. I look at it like, if you don't have a system of this, I mean, the part that I'm focusing on is the fact that you can't defend yourself, right? And if you defend yourself, you gain more red. So the way that I interpret this thing is, if you're treated like a mob, and if you're red, and like say you throw down an area effect spell amongst a whole bunch of monsters, a red guy runs in, they get hit. It's not like that red guy can turn around and attack you and get a free kill or anything like that. If they do, they'll get more corruption, right? So it kind of fits in the whole vibe of you're a mob now, and you can choose to run away, not get more, but you could get it like that. And yes, Krojak is corrupted now.
Yeah, no, he's definitely corrupted. It's pretty funny to actually see. That's why our stream's going the way that it is. I'm actually wondering if they're going to change the identifier on the character and they can't be grouped, period. Once you turn to completely corrupted, grouping is specifically within like friends, and they would turn off friendly fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now this is going to essentially allow even your own friends to kill you.
Yeah, theoretically they could, I guess.
I'm curious, and I noticed Woodchip said one thing that brings up a good question. What happens if the corrupted player is grouped with a non-corrupted group and you only attack the corrupted player and the group kills you? If you're green, would the group gain corruption? I would say yeah, because I mean, you'd be going to a combatant state, however.
Yeah, I mean, the way that plays out, the way that I read this, if you're a corrupted player, basically, unless you're with other corrupted players, you basically don't get any help, or can't get any help without the risk of them getting corruption as well, too, right? Because you can't heal them. You can't help them in any way, shape, or form. They're pretty much on an island, right?
That would be my interpretation, but I can actually see the issue that he's bringing up, where they have a corrupted player, right? So this is the red, the green, the purple, scenario, red being a corrupted player, green being an uncorrupted non-combatant, followed by a combatant, which is being purple. If a red attacks a green and the green does not attack back, they still remain green as a non-combatant.
Right.
But if they attack back, they become a combatant and therefore could be attacked by the green members in his group.
Wait, no. So one correction on that. Apparently, I think what they said, though, was if a red attacks a green, right? I think that was the scenario that you just laid out. If a red attacks a green, then and the green attacks back, I interpreted that as they do not become a combatant. They're not a combatant.
I'm actually gonna have to bring that up because I'm pretty sure that it does become a combatant, because they said that as you are attacking or how do I want to say this? If you don't attack, that's how a corrupted player or someone who's even gaining corruption will not actually, you can screw someone over.
Oh, yeah, you're
corruption.
right. Actually, I think you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a green can attack a red and not become a combatant, but a red player is someone who's completely corrupted. A PK who hasn't hit that level of corruption yet, I would imagine, would not be red.
Well, actually, maybe it's this.
Okay.
Because when I'm thinking about it, that doesn't entirely make sense. Where a red can attack a green, and if a green defends himself, he becomes a combatant. I think it's more because if you're red, that means that you have multiple murders under your belt, right?
Correct.
I think it's more if you're a green and you attack a green, or you're not red specifically, you attack a fellow green and they attack back, then I think you enter that combatant state. Like, I don't think you can become a combatant with a red if you didn't, period, basically, actually, now that I think of it.
Really? I'm going to have to look that up. I'm going to have to go to the wiki for this, because I think that would actually be a really... I know they brought together this really cool little graph that kind of showed the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that graph. Yeah. That'll be good.
I'm going to try to pull that up here. Oh, there's the graph. I'm going to save this graph and actually going to put it up here on the podcast version or the YouTube version for those who actually can see it. I'm going to put this up here right now. We can discuss this as soon as I can grab it. There it is. That's a much smaller image than I thought it was. Wow. Okay, let's blow that up a little bit. There we go. So according to this, from what I'm seeing anyway, I'm going to view that image, much larger version. So you have a non-combatant in the left-hand side. A non-combatant attacks a non-combatant. They both become combatants. A non-combatant attacks a combatant. They both become combatants. And a non-combatant attacks a corrupted. They stay a non-combatant.
Right.
Okay. But then a combatant kills green, they become red. A combatant kills purple. Okay. So really, the red player and the purple player, that was the idea. If you want to turn someone red, you can't attack back.
Right. If you want to turn someone red and they're green, basically, then you cannot fight back, basically.
I really am not fond of that.
I'm not sure how I feel about it either, because that's not how I thought the system was going to work, to be honest. Yeah, I'd have to think on it a little bit more, but I'm kind of in that same ballpark. Right?
The last part that I thought was neat, and we're going to go back to the combatant versus non-combatant, because I thought that was a good discussion point. They says, who gets to pick up corrupted player loot when they die, since they have a chance to drop gear? And the answer was your corruption score determines the chance of a corrupted player dropping an item or dropping multiple items. Anyone can pick up the corrupted player's loot. Yes, your friend could pick it up for you, but also anyone else, so there's a risk.
I like but dislike it. It's kind of like if I kill a mob, I don't want anyone else ever in the vicinity to go and loot my mob. I killed that thing. I want that thing's loot. But this is different. This is a player. But it's also not different because Steven did say that players are kind of treated like NPCs and not like actual players. So anyone looting my NPC's loot that I just killed feels weird.
Yes.
It feels
that's exactly it.
awkward. I'm not sure I think about that. I do like that he basically gives you carte blanche to kill other players by calling them basically, I'm trying to think of a metaphorical comparison, a zombie. A zombie's no longer a human. If you kill a zombie, you're not committing murder, you're killing a zombie. So kind of like how this player is no longer a player, it's now an NPC, it's giving you like the freedom to do that.
And yet, based on the graph that is up on the screen right now, and you know, and I'll pop it here for you guys who haven't seen it. I'll put it in the chat as well as in our own chat so you guys can actually see what it is. But if you haven't seen it in the past, you said he gives you that freedom to kill another player, and yet you don't have that freedom if a player is attacking you. Because if you fight back, you become a combatant, and then the person who was attacking you gets no negative for doing so.
So my
That
first
is correct.
instinct is self-defense is needed, and this is dumb. But then I think of a simple situation. I'm a red flag player. That person's AoEing down a couple mobs. I just get in on them and then get hit by them. And oh, look, you're now flagged too.
Well, and there's the thing. If you're already a red player, you're already assuming that you've completed this murder. But if you look at the graph as I have it, in the first graph you have a non-combatant. So that would be the player who has never attacked anybody.
Yeah.
But he's got the bug in his butt to attack someone. If he attacks a non-combatant, he becomes a combatant, right?
Yeah.
If he attacks a combatant, they become both combatants at that point. If he becomes a corrupted player, there's really no change. He's still considered a non-combatant. If you go to the next one, and he kills any of those people, you see how when he attacks a green, if he kills a green, which is a non-combatant, they become corrupted. But if the person fights back, they become...
Then he remains a combatant.
Then it becomes okay.
Yeah.
What's funny about this? I am a non-combatant. I go gank that fellow non-combatant. I become a combatant, not corrupted. You get a free gank.
You become
You will become corrupted. You have to follow the chain down.
Yeah.
Non-combatant attacking non-combatant becomes a combatant.
Only in the attacking.
Only in the attacking.
The second you hit them, you become a combatant. But the second graph shows saying that you killed.
So kills. Oh, attacks, kills. There you go. That explains it.
If I come up to you and just slap you in the back of the head, I'm a combatant. You don't have to hit me back. Now, if I stab you in the back, then I become corrupted. You know, if I actually complete the kill.
So it allows you, like, I could run around, I could attack anyone that I wanted, and I'll become a combatant. But if I just run away, I don't kill them or anything like that, I'm not going to gain any corruption. It's only when you hit that second thing as a combatant and you kill somebody that you gain corruption and you become corrupt.
Yeah. Just don't kill non-combatants and everything's fine.
Yeah, but if you're already planning on being a player killing person, that's what you're going to do anyway. I really am not fond of the idea of if someone fights back, you don't get, you know, like you fight back, you become a combatant. Because if you see in the second graph, if you kill a combatant, you don't change to corrupted because they fought back.
Yeah, so if I smack you in the face and you decide to smack me back, well, you're both combatants, and whoever dies, well, nothing's wrong. You both agreed to have combat.
Right.
So
that's what it means. You both agreed.
This is actually, I'm looking at it now, and it's actually almost very, very similar to Ultima Online with just one key distinction. And that's when you attacked somebody in Ultima Online, you became, I think it was gray at that point, right? Yeah. And as a gray person, anyone could attack you, or you could attack them, and you would not technically become gray, right? Whereas in this, you would become gray, which is a combatant in this. If you re-engage with somebody.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope they, again, through testing, we'll see this. But I don't think that fighting back if someone attacks you first. I mean, I guess I get it now that I'm thinking about it. I'm like, how would they ever determine that it wasn't, that you were attacking a non-willing person?
Yep.
Right.
Without doing something weird like turning on a PvP okay flag or not?
It's simple. If you are not into PvP and you get jumped, if you fight back, well, you're a combatant. If you don't fight back, your opponent becomes corrupted.
I think it can work. I do like the system, actually. I think it makes a little sense. I'll wait to see how it actually goes, but I think it actually allows for some freedom. Like if somebody attacks you, and this actually probably allows for a little bit more PvP in the world that will naturally occur. Just kind of walking around without everyone going corrupted. Because if you're a willing combatant, then, you just remain that way.
Let's say you're a player looking for PvP, but you don't want to be corrupted. You're purple, you're flagged, you're ready to go. You find a green person. You're like, you know what? Let's see if I can entice this person to fight me back. You stab them once, you stab them twice, you're trying to, hey, come on, fight me. If they don't want to, and they just walk away, well, if you don't want to be corrupted, just turn away and go do someone else. Right?
Yeah.
It gives you the option to potentially start an attack on somebody, see if they want a tango. If they don't, you can be smart enough to say, you know what? I don't want to be corrupted. I'm just going to go find another target.
But more importantly, it actually fits with something that Steven had said later. I think it's was it in this question or another? And that's basically, you have to you have to strike the killing blow. Like you can't hit somebody and then a monster comes and kills that person and you become corrupted. No, you have to strike the killing blow.
Now that's interesting. You're fighting mobs. I come in, get you weak, help get you weak. Mobs finish you. I don't get corrupted.
Correct.
Yep. But then you can't loot them.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh, wait, can you?
No, you can't.
You can only loot corrupted players. You can loot. You could loot players for resources.
Yes, but I don't know if that counts for a PvE
if a mob gets
death. Yeah.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Or at least I would hope.
Oh my god, if they do allow it, man, that means just like what I just said. Wait until they start engaging on mobs.
Yeah.
Help the mobs kill the player, get the raw resources.
Yeah, I'd imagine that you're right. You probably can't.
Yeah.
In that scenario, so.
Yeah, no, it would definitely have to be, unless it was a PvP player doing the killing blow, there would be no raw resource drop. Like, you're not going to drop any gear if you're a non-corrupted player.
Yeah, no.
And even if you're a corrupted player,
you need to be
a
really corrupted player to get to that point.
I mean, there's probably, the pen enhancement chance of dropping gear if you just killed one person,
It's got to be a moving scale, right? Let's say kill 5 green players, you might have a small chance. Kill 10 green players, they start to get pretty serious. Kill 20 green players, you're dropping 100% of your stuff. There's going to be a scale, and they'll shift that scale with testing.
Kill 20.
But I want to see a point where it's just like, you better not die, or you're losing everything. Because you killed 50 people. I want to see that higher end. I don't know if anyone's going to get there. I don't know if anyone's stupid enough, but just in case, I want it to be there.
Well, I think I do like the fact that I like the fact that they said it this way, because if you are a red, one of the most annoying things in a lot of these games was the legion of blue players that would help along with and like be able to help without consequences. The way that the system is designed makes it so that you can't do that. You have to be all in with them if you plan on doing something like that. So I think it creates the potential for true, actual red guilds rather than this, 1 or 2 red guys with his legion of, invincible followers or whatever.
All I thought about when you said that, Crojack, was kill 10 people, go into a small hospital, they look at you through a window forever. Kill 20, they send you to Texas, they hit you with a brick. That's what they do.
That's what they do. Kill
more than that, we don't even know how to deal with it. We're almost going, well done. You killed 100,000 people. I don't know what your diary must look like. I can't even get down to the gym. Anyway.
Death.
Afternoon tea. Death. Quick shower.
Eddie Izzard, for those who don't know, stand-up comedian.
As soon as I heard it, that's all I thought about. It was great. Oh, man. All right. Moving off of the corruption system, we'll actually move down to the next part. Talking about castle sieges, node sieges, caravans, node wars, etc. They mentioned battlegrounds. And Steven is pretty set on the idea that battlegrounds, like use the word open world battleground, is objective-based gameplay in an area rather than an instanced type situation.
It is ground in the world with which battle takes place, not a separate instance.
This is where I start seeing the idea come from Arcade, the idea of the zone at war, to a certain extent. Not completely, but a little bit.
You see it in BDO a bit, right? Different nodes go under siege and go under war in BDO from time to time on different servers.
Right. Yeah, no, it definitely does that. It's just I'm curious. I like how the idea of the battlegrounds work, because if they do objective-based gameplay, it kind of reminds me something along the lines of ESO with castle sieges and the like, rather than just go kill 50
as soon as you
people.
say that, I think castle siege. That defending a castle, attacking a castle is a battleground with an objective. Trying to think of a different kind of open world area with an objective, like what could that objective be? What alternative is there to attacking a castle or defending a castle in an MMORPG fantasy world? Like, what other objective could you fight over?
Right.
The ownership of a resource or a node. Caravans can be moving battlegrounds. Attacking, defending caravan is a ground of battle that moves with the caravan. But other than those things, what else?
Well,
You're not going to play capture the flag in the middle of the world, right?
No. And as he says, a lot of other games had guild war systems for player kill counts in a time period. I think those are lackluster. When you are in a raid in a PvP/PvE, the whole purpose of rallying the troops is to come together and establish a plan for strategic elements. Wanted to move away from body count and towards objectives. Does this mean we're going to have set areas that are going to have this?
Good question.
Like,
Good question.
How do you make objectives in a zone without pre-programming it ahead of time? Not saying you couldn't literally do the zone at war and then all of a sudden that tower that is a quest hub normally
can be owned by a guild or owned by a group temporarily.
I mean,
rotating ownership of nodes and spots.
BDO does that.
Sense. Yeah.
With their node wars, they only do
and
the
they
node
benefit
wars
from
once
taxes.
a week. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
That's a beautiful thing.
I love it.
Aside from that, there's not much else you can do.
What do you think, Alpha?
Well, is it more what's the benefit of doing it, or the mode of doing it?
What do you think a mode of actually making an open world battleground the way that he describes it? Because he's not saying everyone uses the vernacular for battleground, and everyone gets the idea of Warsong Gulch in their head, or some sort of
instant capture the flag,
right?
Capture point, king of the hill.
And he doesn't want to do that. He wants to move towards an open world battleground.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to picture. I mean, you could do something like a gather count, right? So put resources in X area, gather said resources, and obviously those places are limited, so you come in conflict and we'll fight over said resources, right? And then
it needs to be incentivized.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what he has to say. I can't really think of any good thing outside of tradition.
Okay. I like when he talked about node wars, because we'll talk about that next, and they said about a victory condition. And node war objectives depend on the type of node, the stage of development, and what other patron guilds and societies are of the node. So a guild siege is supposedly going to have a different win objective depending on what it is.
That's interesting. Like, what if the war is something like, gather X amount of resources in X amount of time? Does it have to be strictly killing based?
I don't know.
This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That is a city, that is a town, that is a village, that is a metropolis. Regardless of what it is, my objective is to destroy so much of it that they give up. In real life, that's how that works. Regardless of the size of civilization, it's attack it to the point where they surrender. Whether that's burn it all the way to the ground or a portion of it, regardless. If it comes down to, if I break into your church and steal your relic, you must surrender, that seems not quite as common sense, not quite as realistic, per se. So having alternative objectives to force defeat feels weird.
Now, and I'm going to read this part out, and the reason why I'm going to bring this up is because it's interesting for that same... we look as a mechanic wise, but in reality, it's a morale fight almost, especially if they have a morale indicator. So they're like, if a node is stage 4, the guild might have a statue dedicated to it in the city. Once one of the objectives might be destroy the city, you might see a midnight run to defend the statue. If an organization like Thieves Guild might have an important relic, it might be an important objective to steal the relic by casting a 2-minute cast on it with encumbrance while you carry it back. These small types of gameplay loops make it interesting, fluid, dynamic.
Those are cool. Like you said, if they affect the morale, if they affect the ability to defend the city or attack a city, those kinds of things are really sweet. I like that.
One of my favorites, I wish I could remember where it was I even heard it, but they talked about the objective of war is not actually to destroy your enemy, it's to beat them down enough so that they give up first.
Yeah.
To shock and awe. That's what it is. To shock and awe. You want to shock them into surrendering to you.
Or sieging, right? Starve them until they surrender.
That's what a siege mostly is. There were very little fighting in a siege. It was...
Surround it, wait.
Yep. Don't let anyone out. Essentially, it was the equivalent of a bouncer standing in front of the door going, nah, you can't leave. Nice try.
That's true.
Yeah, but the bouncer's outside keeping you inside.
Yeah, right. So I'm curious with this type of thing, what does destroying a statue really mean? We have seen in both drama, but also it's more historical. Do you ever remember, I'm assuming everyone here has seen Vikings.
Nope.
What?
You're the traditional medieval armor-loving guy. That show's right up your alley. Of course you watched it.
I love Vikings. I'm going to have to reconsider this co-host thing. I'm really starting to see some issues here. Anyway. When they were attacking Paris, one of the characters, and I know this is historical fiction, but it actually does make sense. It was a rallying point where they had brought a flag, a banner that was kept by the church. It was supposedly bathed in a saint's blood, etc., whatever. The people had believed that, and when they rose the flag, it was a morale boost that gave the guys, they were losing, but they had so much faith that when this flag was out, that the powers of this dead saint would protect them, that it was a morale boost to push them forward.
Absolutely.
So while we look at some of these things as objective mechanics and stuff like that, if you look at it from more of an in-universe, not breaking the fourth wall, it's a way of forcing morale to be crushed. Now, while that is interesting, you have to represent morale in a tangible way for the people who don't care about lore.
Easy. That's really easy. It's called a buff. It's called a buff. If the statue's up, it provides everyone a 5% attack speed buff. What does that 5% attack speed represent? Increased morale. I'm swinging faster because I feel encouraged by the presence of this statue. In reality, that's what it is. In the language of an MMORPG, it's a 5% haste buff. So when the statue's up, it provides a buff. If you take it down, if you attack the city, you sneak in there, you bring the statue down, they lose their buff because they lost their morale.
I've been thinking about this. Actually, maybe this is where he's going instead of it. We all know the traditional war, kind of like what Krojak just described, right?
Yeah.
You know, you attack, you kill, destroy things. What about the Cold War? Right?
Oh, I would love to see an equivalent of that in this game.
Right. What about the espionage? You know, what about the space race? You know, there's been technological wars and races between, various countries and various aspects, right? What about a religious war? That's more around conversion. I mean, there's been traditional religious wars, but there's also been races to convert basically and overtake. Like I'm starting to think more along the lines of like the Civ kind of aspect of war, and there's different ways to fight without actually having to fight.
Space race in this game.
My army of monks in Age of Empires 2, that I would just sit there and mass convert the people. Yeah, that was fun.
Yep.
Trying to think of something a space race. Maybe you could represent that in this game by the first guild or node to build a large enough fleet to get across the ocean to tap into an unknown land. That could be the equivalent of a space race for this game. Yeah, there's ways you can do that. Right? Who can get to the top of the mountain first? Who can get inside the mountain to the mithril mine first? You can definitely have a race in that regard in multiple ways, mostly in terms of acquiring resources. That's what the space race was. First ones to get into space to establish the satellites and the spy network and their potential space armies and all that jazz.
The thing that doesn't sit well with me with this entire question, though, is the term victory condition. And the mechanic that they've already talked about. Again, this is subject to change. Make sure you know this. But right now, especially with the last bit of interviews and stuff we've had, the last few blog posts, they've said after a siege, instead of a node de-leveling, it's destroyed completely.
Yep.
Victory,
so you need a traditional win condition to satisfy that end result.
For a node siege, yes, definitely.
For a node siege, for sure.
Right, and that's what this is essentially referring to, node wars, node sieges, and a victory condition for it. And he said about not having the gameplay with more interesting dynamic gameplay, but how does any of those things result in a complete destruction if the victory condition is literally
result, aid towards. Destroying a guild statue in their town through espionage to decrease or to remove a buff from the town's defenders is a step towards the ultimate resolution of the final battle and the destruction, blah, 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 blah. So what's being written here is just little stepping stones to help towards that final battle. There still needs to be a final battle.
Right.
For these node sieges. There has to be.
But then that doesn't node war objectives depend on the type of node. I guess the only way that would work is if the node war is similar to Ultric Valley, where the main objective is who kills the person first. You can do as many of taking down the towers as you want to give a buff as you go.
Yeah.
Or you could just zerg the whole thing and hope that you're able to overcome it.
You mean the Horde strategy versus the Alliance strategy in that game?
Well, yeah, but there were... yeah, right. There were
the
other...
Horde goes systematic, the Alliance are like, straight to the end, let's go.
Well, we won't talk about the Alliance having a shorter path, but anyway.
So true.
They did.
They did.
They had a much shorter path and were able to do those things. But having these other objectives, like defending the statue, having those things in it, if it's like a multi-stage thing, that could be interesting. So maybe you can zerg it. Maybe you have to complete so many stages or objectives before you can destroy the city.
More stages are necessary depending on the size of the node. A metropolis is so big, it has probably an outer wall and then probably another mid wall and probably has like stages and stuff. You're not going to take down the primary wall of the metropolis and be like, all right, we did it, we're done, we win. It's not going to be that simple for metropolis, I would imagine. There's probably going to be stages of the metropolis's defense until they get to the final center of the metropolis.
Right.
Common sense. Makes sense to me.
It would. It definitely would. I guess it also depends on how the layout is based on that tool they talk about, because it's supposed to be completely different each time. So I'm curious. It's not like, Minas Tirith with the 7 gates that you had to go through.
Should be.
I agree.
Yeah, freaking metropolis.
Right. Absolutely. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's groups based on economic sections of the city. Going back to we're all pretty much all of us are playing or have played BDO at this point. A lot of us in our guild are playing BDO at this point. If you go to California, they have the slum section, they have the market district. What if there's different objectives in each thing? So I know they talked about essentially controlling the center tower, where the king sits, where the mayor sits. If you can control that, you can essentially control the entire city. But
Yeah, that's the win.
that's the win objective. You can make it easier, however, by going to these different districts and causing whatever disruption there would be. And these could be set, like what he said here. If you go into the slums, guess what society is there? Thieves Guild?
Thieves Guild. Get them on your side.
Maybe that's something that happens.
Fork over some cash and go, yo, Thieves Guild, we're trying to attack the town. You want to be on our side? Here's a heavy coin purse, thunk.
Cool.
How about you help us out?
I like it.
Bigger army diplomacy or bigger wallet diplomacy? I love it.
So do I. I like that. I mean, I everything has to result in the destruction of the city, which again, I'm still not real fond of. I like the idea of you could destroy it completely, or maybe not.
Yeah, I'm still kind of convinced that's. I'm hoping that changes
So
we know.
if it's a partial destruction for a win condition, where do you draw the line? 50% destruction, 70% destruction? Like where, maybe through testing you find that line.
Yeah.
With the 100%, it's easy. Get to the keep, defeat the guards the keep, take control of the keep, you win. That's a pretty cut and dry, simple win condition.
It's true.
Yeah.
I was thinking with the destruction levels, with the different levels of what it is. Think about it from a Metropolis standpoint of when you're doing a siege, what was the body count? Right? You may still have the city up, but if you only have a third of the people, it's not a Metropolis anymore. It's essentially a ghost town.
I wonder if maybe through development or expansion, they'll allow us to have the possibility of sieging. Not attacking, actually starving and sieging, which would take a long time. And this is an MMO, and people aren't in the game 24/7.
They should be.
They should be. We need more no-lifers. Let's go.
I'm just saying, MMOs are a different style of game that if you're playing an MMO is meant to be a virtual world. It's not a leaderboard race. At least that's the way I view it. They may have that aspect, but that's not what essentially it is. I could be nuts. But I like that you spoke about expansions, because moving off of Jalon's stuff and going on to some ergs, we'll move on to that. He talked about the idea of political features to a node after launch. And the reason why I think this got brought up, I'm trying to remember who brought this up. I think it was somebody in our Discord. They talked about what land would be available, or if we thought we'd see land later. And I know one of the things that I don't think we'll see land updates. I highly doubt it. And the reason why I said that was because I found out about this question. I believe that when we see Vera, we will see all of Vera.
It's not like World of Warcraft.
think so?
Like, hey, we just found Northrend. Hey, we just found the Mists of Pandaria. These undiscovered worlds or parts of the world.
Why do you say that?
The reason why I say that is due to the fact that, well, oddly enough, Northrend was in the lore very early on. Even Warcraft 3, it wasn't available at the beginning. Reason why I say we'll see everything is because I believe since Steven developed all of this ahead of time, he'll want it all represented. Not saying he can't change the lore at some time in the future, but I honestly don't think we'll see land expansions so much as we'll see expansions around the node system. Because he says, I don't want to reveal our expansion plans, but one of the key development designs is that it's going to be one of the primary vehicles of expansion and updates, meaning the node system. We're going in with the understanding that we'll be utilizing the node system to upgrade content. You're going to have areas, points of interest, skill updates, class updates, but aside from those things, the node changes that expansion update, the node changes with expansion updates is what changes the majority of things. And yes, keeping that in mind, post-launch nodes will see heavy updates. I know he said have area point of interest. I think we'll discover more of those hidden things. I don't think the world will expand.
I wouldn't say never.
I wouldn't say ever either, but
All it takes is 4 years of development for the creative staff to sit in a circle and go, you know what we need? We need more land. All it takes.
I definitely see what you're saying, Aggelos. I think if there was an expansion, I think it'd be interesting to see if it was like a slow thing. Like, in other words, a single island or a single island extra node was made available, right?
Right.
And then what happens then? I don't see a big swath being opened up, if you will, where, like, we've got 103 nodes, and all of a sudden 50 additional nodes are available. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so either, because think about it along the lines of, again, I'm bringing BDO into this. The whole thing is called Black Desert Online, but when the game came out, the desert that it was named after wasn't even in the game.
The majority of the map is not desert. Like, it's beautiful, green, lush land.
It is, but like the Black Desert, which is Valencia, wasn't even in the game at launch.
I have an idea. You want to add like an island, like you said, to Vera down the road? Let's take a page, and everyone's going to hate me for this. Let's take a page from Fortnite. One thing Fortnite did really, really cool. Wait for this. I know. Wait for this. One thing Fortnite is really, really cool with the development of their map is as the weeks go by leading up to a new season or a new change to the game, the map slowly changes. Every update, they'll introduce a new aspect of the map. All of a sudden, you'll see cracks in the ground, or you'll see snowfall over here. And they'll shift the map slowly and gradually towards the new map design they're going to have for the new season. And they introduce this in real-time events and the changes over the course of time. You want Vera to have a new island? How about for 2 months leading up to an expansion? The first week, all of a sudden, you see a volcano start to spring up out of the ocean, right? Yeah. And then a week later, they update the map again with a patch, and all of a sudden, there's a bit more land mass. They could do something like that to introduce a new land mass over the course of 2 months. That's something Fortnite does. It's really, really cool to watch live.
All right, so I'm going to reel the Fortnite comparison back, because the last thing we want to hear is a Fortnite comparison with patches of creation.
What?
But Guild Wars 2 did the exact thing.
Oh, there you go.
Living World Season 1, they actually added a whole new island, the Karka Island or whatever it was, that literally appeared because of activity. Like, it was happening throughout the story because there was these two different groups. They were moving around, and I can't remember the entire... Anyway, more or less something happened that they awoke this giant Karka, and it caused land masses to shift, and an island rose. And then it became as part of the story, both sides, wow, we have a new island. We want what's on that island. Let's go do that.
Perfect.
I mean, you can also do that, like you said, from the node sieges. Going back to nodes 1, the dragon coming out of the mountain. Yep. Earthquakes opening up areas. Within the lore, when you can hit specific lore milestones, it can trigger events. Maybe a new harbinger crashes into the earth and causes a rift.
More sections of the Underrealm that were not until now discovered open up. That's possible.
Yep, we can delve too greedily and too deep,
Where have I heard those words before?
I did that just for you. There you go.
Oh, please tell me. Come on, Steven's he has to. There has to be some demonic thing deep underground that we can awaken. Please. Has to be there. Has to.
Dunes and Kills Bane. Oh. Oh. Anyway. Go ahead.
I'm going to say the Aggelos clan digs too deep, gets wiped out by this thing.
Oh. I can see it. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe if it hates elves, I would be fine with that. Just unleash it.
That's the fastest way to switch Aggelos and his entire family from being pretty law-abiding citizens to, you know what? Yeah, let's kill all the elves. It's a great idea.
I'm pretty sure I've asked Steven publicly if I became mayor, if I could pass certain laws that would be targeted towards elves.
I'm not going to make any sort of previous dictators in World War II references here, but that's pretty, wow.
Yeah, no, definitely I want to charge higher taxes for elves, because that's...
Round them all up.
Round them all up.
Jeez.
Death to the elves,
what did an elf do to you in your past?
Elves are just terrible.
Or is that for the after party?
This might be for the after party. Yeah. Show us where the elf touched you. Anyway.
Oh god, I wasn't going there.
We're going to move on off of elves because we don't like talking about elves. Mentor systems. I actually really like this question. There will be a tracking system for contribution among players. One of the key issues is that MMORPGs have a start date where if players don't join near the start, which I think we were talking about before.
Video.
Yeah, they are unable to get into it, and one of the reasons that's become MMO starting area dilemma is where after they release these new starting areas, they become empty dead zones. And in the genre where socializing is a big part of it, it affects it a lot. It's why Ashes of Creation will maintain relevancy throughout the life cycle of an MMORPG due to the node system, so players will keep coming back for quest lines. Oh, great, more BDO. I thought I was done with Heidel. Now there's 90 more quests in here. So when new players come in, you'll see a bustling city. Of course, new players will not experience the rush and the race of the start, but instead they experience the history of the server and are able to find the future. The mentorship is meant to capitalize on this feature and incentivize players that are more established to help newer players or alt accounts. We'll have some safeguards so they don't game the system.
Yeah, we talked about it before.
Yeah,
If you're a brand new player in the world, you just go hang out in the small pre-village stage areas, and they have small pre-village stage mobs you can level up there. And there's always going to be those areas in the map, regardless of whether you join now, 5 months from now, 10 months from now. Question is, I don't know if we have an answer to this. Mentor system, are you powered down to them? Are they powered up to you? Is the content normalized between you two? How are they doing it? Have they given us an answer yet?
Very key. I don't know. And I've been wondering the same thing just because the whole, one of the things that attracted me to this game was the whole multiplayer aspect, right? Large parties, 8 people, right? How are you going to then, how is a newer person going to get 8 people, or a lot of people to continue leveling up with them that misses that, those initial waves, if you will. I'm curious how that's going to happen, even with this mentorship system.
Leveling up alternate classes? Not alternate, but alternate subclasses. This is why I've always really wished that they would adopt the Final Fantasy 14 thing, where you had one character and you could switch your job.
Right.
It is kind of nice, yeah.
I see what you mean.
Because it would be a reason to go back. Because one thing they keep bringing up is the fact that they don't want people to scale up or down. They're like, you're not going to lose your power. Okay, so how does mentorship work? Because you're like, well, we won't scale you up either. Okay, so
then how do you not gain the system? I mean, unless you're saying we don't actually get stronger when we level up, or
you mean there's no progression in an MMO? Way to ruin everything. You're either gonna one-shot their mobs, or they're gonna die to one-shot to your mobs. You've gotta there has to be something. We talked about it before. It makes 0 sense.
Outside of instancing, I think Rift did this with an instance type. Well, maybe it wasn't Rift, but I think they allowed for a mentor system where you could go in and do missions, but they were instance content. But that kind of takes away from the whole purpose of everything else. When you start instancing things, especially what should be considered normal, everyday stuff, you're taking people out of the world into this separate game and you're ignoring everything else.
Yeah. This development team doesn't want to instance node sieges or castle sieges, nonetheless instancing anything else. If they're not going to instance those 2 things, they're not instancing anything in this game.
I really think they're going to have to, but okay.
I really think they're going to have to. It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, they're definitely gonna. They're definitely gonna have to.
2,000 people, 1 metropolis, and they're not gonna instance it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
They're gonna try. They'll try in Alpha 2. They'll try, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and the mentorship system is something that I've always liked in other games. It's a way of creating a very welcoming community, which I think Ashes definitely needs. because they don't really have that right now. It definitely would be helpful to see. The next question that they have, which was pretty much exactly what we were asking during our Moana episode, will vessel ship skins be locked to sizes like small, large, etc.? Because we mentioned the canoe. Yeah, there are size restrictions. We have a specific class of vessels, so yes, size value is assigned to different ships. So pretty much all of the ship skins you've been buying are limited to a very specific vessel.
Yeah, you can't slap a canoe on a battleship. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whatever they want to call a battleship. Which also kind of answers a question I had about armor skins and costumes and armor types and that kind of a thing. The one answer we got was you can just disable cosmetics visually.
Thank goodness.
And know for a fact whether that person is wearing plate, leather, or cloth. Right. But this question pretty much tells me that cloth costumes on cloth armor, leather costumes on leather armor, and plate on plate. I'm hoping. Again.
I'll just be happy to turn it off so I can get away from the APOC.
But then you won't
bondage.
Look cool.
As long as I don't have to see the APOC space bondage, I'm happy.
Oh my god. Can we just all agree that day one of MMO launch, the number of people who will have those cosmetics because of APOC being launched for who knows how long before then? Vera day one is going to be a lightsaber wasteland.
That's why Vera day one, I'm going to turn that off.
Hey, you won't need to carry a lantern because everywhere you look, there's glowing stuff lighting the night sky for you.
Well, they did say it's only part of a certain weapon, right? Like, for example, let's say you have a broadsword, like, or a specific type of broadsword, right?
Yep.
Whatever we're unlocking only applies to a certain class of weapons, right?
Yeah.
So we might not have that class of weapons, and that might not even become available until, later on, if that makes sense.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Because right now, those cosmetics say, staff, two-handed sword. Pretty broad and general definitions of what those cosmetics are so far.
That is true.
Right? Wand.
Day one, Ashes of Creation launches. Day two, Ashes of Creation shut down due to EA BioWare suing them over SWTOR 2.
You know what? Maybe by the time Castle Siege does come out and the blah, 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 it's all running, they tone down the glow. Maybe they turned it up for the cool look or what they thought was a cool look. I'm hoping they calm it down.
I'm hoping that they will. Only because if you've actually looked anywhere else, like if you go to the Reddits, you go to the Facebook pages, anywhere where they post the cosmetics, pretty much all the original ones that they had posted, people thought looked stupid. These last ones that they shown, I've not seen anything but good comments about.
Yep.
It's like night and day comparatively. Like,
oh, the plate armor with the cloth tower, that kind of stuff. Because that's what people want.
Yeah,
that's what people want.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and have your skin tight elf stuff for the people that want their skin tight elf stuff, but most people want armor.
Armor that looks like armor.
Yes.
Yeah. I know I tend to veer towards the very realistic classical look, but still, you're right. People want, even the people who I know liked the super high fantasy goes, this is plate mail and there's one strip of metal like right here. Like there's no real reason for it.
Most people want to go a step up from what you like. You like traditional armor. Most people want that on a little bit of steroids. They want bigger. They want bigger shoulders, bigger chest plate, bigger shields, bigger swords. They don't want the skin tight, flimsy stuff. They want what you want, but higher up, like bigger.
Yeah, and I see chat rooms like if everyone's weapons glows, then when a glowing weapon does appear, it's no longer exciting. And that essentially, I think that's what a lot of the fear was with the cosmetics they've released so far. It's the WoW syndrome of we've hit a certain level, we can't go back, we have to constantly be building.
Yeah. And that will happen eventually. Kind of like how World of Warcraft's damage numbers and health pools creeped up into the millions, and they finally said, all right, reset, everyone's back down to the hundreds again. Same thing with art. Eventually, if you, like you said, if you set the bar up here already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't I agree. I think it'll grow, but I don't think it'll grow as bad as what you're thinking. Because I don't think armor is not the new form of progression here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going to change that much, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that these first cosmetics they've shown, they said they wanted legendary items to like be glowy, which, but I get it. There's not
Glowy
gonna
with
be
a particle effect, glowy with an aura, glowy with something like that.
Sure.
Not like the thing itself is a lightsaber glow.
Yeah. But the problem is the lightsabers are now the base armor. Like the
Can't be.
armor that they showed us originally, because I think they're changing their plan, and I'm hoping that's the case. Because remember when they had Akil on, they were showing the drawing or whatever of the him doing the armor and whatnot. They were in the boardroom. I remember that, and he showed this armor which looked like the APOC. He's like, yeah, this would be what your normal adventurer comes in with. And it's like, what?
Right. I remember hearing that and being completely confused. I'm like, no, your normal adventurer has a wooden buckler and a rusty sword, and let's start from there.
The idea is they said they wanted our characters to be heroes coming through, but that's setting the bar so high in terms of look growth. That's why in World of Warcraft, it's like, oh, great, you have giant shoulders. Well, giant shoulders aren't cutting it anymore. Well, what if they glowed and floated in midair? Like, you constantly had to one-up what you did before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everyone who loves fantasy, everyone who loves MMOs, everyone who loves these kinds of creative things, love the story of the dude in the mud with nothing becoming a hero. Not the hero that comes into town as a hero and just continues to be a hero. They love the story of the person with absolutely nothing, the normal person who down in their dumps, who achieves greatness through struggle. Mm-hmm. So if we're heroes coming into the world, that ruins that for so many people.
I love that you brought that up, because one of the complaints I hear more often than I would think is the narrative fatigue of why in every MMO am I the chosen one? In Final Fantasy XIV, you are the warrior of light. In ESO, you are the vestige. You know, you are this hero that's destined to save the world. It's like, dude, I just want to be the guy who farms his potatoes, okay? Even in BDO, you're the guy who's possessed by the black spirit who didn't go insane.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you actually see other people who are possessed by black spirits in the game, and they're nuts.
Because MMOs are an escape from reality. And in reality, people are usually just Joe Schmo working in a job, doing their everyday thing, and they want to be that hero. They want to be that chosen one. Not everyone, but the majority.
Yes, but there's something to be said for making yourself that hero rather than starting off as the destined one.
So developers, get on it. Give us multiple optional quest arcs, and we can decide day one, do I want to be a hero or do I want to be an average guy? And give us multiple progressions, which is a lot of work. I can't even imagine how much work that is.
Yeah.
It's like you're creating the entire leveling experience multiple times. That's a lot of work.
I mean,
cool.
I get it from a lore perspective. We're coming back to the world, but I'm sorry. I don't mind being the soldier who was enlisted in the king's army to go in. That's what I would be, not the king itself.
Yeah, we don't all need to be kings, but we can't all be heroes, right? We can't all be heroes. We all have to be, like you said, soldiers in the army. People conscripted, people who are volunteering to go through the gate into worlds unknown because their previous life sucked. I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was a murderer in the previous world.
Sure.
I'm trying to get away.
Yeah, if you're a rogue, your story is, I'm serving time over here. You know what? Or they say, you don't want to serve time in jail? Why don't you volunteer to go through the gate into this place unknown?
Yeah.
Right? You could do that.
Taking the black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an example, right?
Yeah.
If you're a cleric, maybe your clergy saying, yo, go spread the word, the good word of our God in this new realm. Each class could have their own reason why they want to go through the gate, which they really should, to be honest.
And I see a chat drop said, it makes the progression feel way better when you're coming from way down the ladder.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know we're talking about a cosmetic side of things, but it really does lead to the point where it's like progression doesn't really matter as much when you don't start with the rusty sword and the wooden buckler and then get the beautiful tower shield and the gold encrusted. When you start with that, it's like, all right, so now where do I go?
Which is kind of crappy because if they do release APOC before the expansion of the MMO, and there's like months of time, people can just day one slap their cosmetics on and go, look how cool I look. Yay.
Yeah. That's kind
Feels bad.
I don't think they will. See, the problem is unless they issue refunds for the people who actually paid for things, I don't think they can walk it back. But let me ask this question. And this isn't even part of any of the interviews. It's something I just thought about. With how poorly APOC went over, do you think they would ever consider just retconning the whole thing?
Rephrase how poorly the Battle Royale went over. Right? APOC is all three things. It was supposed to be all three
Fair.
things. The Castle Siege looked fun. Horde mode could have been fun. We don't know. But yeah, the Battle Royale specifically went over like, my God, terribly.
Yeah.
I
Retcon the whole thing.
Or put it on the
Screw the
shelf and
assets.
bring it out after the MMO is ready and going. BDO launched a Battle Royale years after its development.
Right. It did.
Why can't they wait?
I miss Shadow
Yeah.
Arena.
It was.
I'm really curious what's going to happen with it. Let's wait and see.
I really want a discussion on that. That's why I'm even bringing it up because I can honestly say the people who've already bought into it, people who bought into the game, there's nothing there, right? Like you're buying the MMO, you didn't buy APOC, it's free to play. The people who paid money for Embers, which again you could argue those could then be used in the store, not a big deal. But the people who paid for the battle pass,
refund them,
and then retcon the whole thing. Throw away those assets. You don't need them.
If they decide to still release APOC, they, for their own safety, wait until the Castle Siege is ready and release it, Battle Royale, Castle Siege at the same time.
Right.
Don't just re-release the Battle Royale with next to no changes and then run some tests and then open it all up again, because that's just doing the same stupid thing twice in a row. If you wait and have the Castle Siege 2 as well, people won't be as upset, as long as Castle Siege is fun, and I can't imagine how it can't be fun.
Definitely.
But no, scrap the whole bloody thing, MMO first, and then a year later, go ahead and launch your little side project.
Yeah, I see. I've forgotten people bought into the battle pass. Yeah, the Embers I'm not even worried about. They don't even have to refund those because they actually have a purpose in the MMO.
Yeah.
And even if you use those Embers to buy cosmetics in the store, just refund the Embers and get rid of the cosmetics that you're not keeping. Anyway,
don't even refund the dollar amount. Just give them the equivalent in Embers in their account for them the battle pass. However much it costs, Ember them.
it was only $10.
There you go. $10 of Embers. Boom. Refunded.
Yeah,
Real simple.
there you go. Last question, and this one I actually kind of wanted to bring up because I thought it was funny. If mobs drop materials, what gives coins? Quests, taxation, services like player-run businesses, selling goods to a shop, redemption of our ticket system, etc. I don't want monsters to drop coins. Why, yes. I have no idea why a wolf would have 17 gold coins and a magic fire ring.
Yeah, don't get me started on the spider with a ginormous two-hander inside of it, all right? Don't get me started. I reach into this tiny spider and pull out this massive two-hander.
Magic pockets, man. Magic pockets.
Magic spiders. Right, wizards.
Magic.
Right? Magic. It's the end-all, be-all, these answers.
It's just like the Bugs Bunny syndrome, right? Remember?
Yep.
I'm really,
Spider.
really hoping someone got that reference I made, but if not, that's
Which
okay.
one?
No, I don't think so.
Elves drop coins.
All right, I'm
You
gonna.
kill an elf, he has coins.
There you go. Kill the elves. Yeah, I actually like the humanoid characters, but the reason why I thought this was so fascinating was because very early on, and I'll have to find it. I think it might have been during one of the Kickstarters. They showed a video. It was the first place I ever saw the Mighty Beard, because they actually showed this in one of their live streams where they were running around, and Steven had mentioned how he didn't want junk items, where he was doing a quest to get. They're like, please bring us deer meat for the quest. But you didn't get deer meat. Like, not the quest item. It was actually a crafting material. It's like you could choose to use the deer meat for yourself. You could have been hunting deer and already have it because there's no quest item.
Yes. I like that a lot. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
that deer didn't magically drop the deer meat the hunter wanted until now. Until after you talk to the hunter, then the deer dropped the... No, that makes no sense. I like it that way. Also, if there's a damn quest for eyes of some creature, and I kill that creature, and he magically has no eyes, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to freak out.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, bring me 10 wolf eyes. Why do none of these wolves have any freaking eyes? I hated that about questing so much.
Mm-hmm.
I get it from the lore perspective, or from the not breaking the fourth wall. They should have pristine eyes or something. It's like,
there you go. Perfect.
Can you get... The wolf had eyes till I killed it by smashing it in the face with the sledgehammer and caved its whole head in. You know? Okay,
if
well...
You just said, sure. Pristine eyes. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
So that you could always get eyes. Like, if got damaged eyes. They don't want damaged eyes. Well, what can you do with these? Well...
That makes sense. I'm cool with that.
I think this is one of the most interesting things, and something that you don't really see in MMOs that often. You see it in survival games more, where there's not junk items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything has a purpose, and I love that.
Yeah, the random gray item that can only be sold to a vendor. For what reason?
Yeah, why do they want it?
Yeah, why do... If you can't do anything with it, what can they do with it?
Right. Like, everything has to have a purpose, and I love that that's what they're going for, so... I thought that was kind of neat. And I'm going to have to link you guys a video so you get my reference about the magic fire ring. Anyway.
All right.
Anyway, guys, I think that's the end of this episode for tonight. I want to thank my amazing co-host. We got Alpha Soul. I think you just released a new video too, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I think so.
Just a few hours ago, I think.
Wait, no, not a few hours ago, like a day ago.
A day ago. Okay.
Or maybe... I forgot which one.
Yeah. Anyway, you should check out his Ashes of Creation videos. They're amazing. So cool. And of course, Crowjack. Check out all of his stuff everywhere that you can go see Crowjack. He's now streaming a lot on YouTube. I think you're doing Subnautica was the last thing, or you're doing a variety of different games.
Yeah, a variety right now.
I like it. I like it so much. Anyway, go ahead, check those out. Go support him. Check out all of his stuff. And, of course, you can follow everything we do over at DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com. There you'll find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check out our Patreon program at patreon.com/DungeonCrawlerNetwork if you want to help support the show. You could also do that by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words. Sometimes they matter. And of course, remember, we are only 8 more weeks away, and we still need about 23 new 5-star reviews. So get on that to get that giveaway. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of From the Ashes, and we'll see you next time.